Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American science fiction action film from 2026, titled War Machine. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie begins in Kandahar, Afghanistan, with a group of soldiers on their way to assist their colleagues, whose convoy is stranded. Upon arrival, an unnamed staff sergeant, who is a mechanic, steps forward to help his brother's broken-down convoy. His brother, also part of the stranded soldiers, greets him excitedly. As the sergeant begins working on the convoy, his brother brings up the topic of joining the Army Rangers. Initially, the sergeant is uninterested, but his brother continues to persuade him, reminding him of a promise they made as children to always stay together. Convinced, the sergeant agrees to join the Army Rangers, before walking to their convoy. Suddenly, they are attacked by Taliban insurgents, and the screen fades to black. The sergeant then awakens to find himself injured and the rest of the soldiers dead. He rushes to his dying brother before waking up on a bus. 2 years later, the sergeant attends RASP to join the 75th Ranger Regiment, and due to his past experience, he is on medication. Upon arrival at the camp, candidates are given a Ziploc bag and instructed to place their name, paperwork, rank, and personal items inside. From that point on, they will no longer be identified by name, but by a number, and the sergeant is assigned number 81. After his consent is confirmed, he is offered the role of team leader by a senior, which he initially refuses. The regiment leader, First Sergeant Torres, then welcomes the candidates to the program and informs them that they are about to embark on 8 weeks of the most demanding selection program in the world. Those who reach the final stage will undertake a 24-hour simulated mission known as the Death March, which concludes upon crossing the finish line. At this point, candidates become eligible for the Ranger Scroll and the Tan Beret. One day, the candidates engage in a particularly grueling training exercise, and those who fail are eliminated from the program. As the brutal training continues, poor performance leads to further eliminations, gradually reducing the number of candidates. During training, number 81 distances himself from the other recruits, prompting some, particularly number 15, to discuss it among themselves. However, recruit number 7 watches 81 closely, as if he knows something about him. During a gun training session, the other recruits whisper among themselves upon learning where 81 previously served. During lunch, the recruits watch a news report that NASA has detected a massive interstellar object, believed to originate from outside the solar system, projected to pass by Earth. As the training becomes harder, the number of recruits continues to decrease. During another lunch, number 15 asks 81 if the stories about him in Kandahar are true, but number 7 tells him to mind his own business. That night, while 81 takes his medication, number 7 observes him quietly. The following day, while resting from training, number 7 surprises 81 by revealing the meaning of a tattoo on his arm. By week 6, the candidates participate in abseiling exercises on a figure-8 device and a rescue mission. Throughout, 81 continues to have nightmares about the events in Kandahar. The next day, during an underwater training exercise, the other candidates give up, but 81 perseveres, recalling when he carried his dying brother to their base. During this exercise, he nearly drowns but is pulled from the water and revived through CPR. Afterward, Sergeant Major Sheridan invites 81 to his office. During the meeting, Sheridan and First Sergeant Torres question 81's mental state and the impact of his PTSD, insisting that he step down from the program to recuperate. However, 81 refuses. Sheridan expresses frustration that 81 never attended therapy sessions after his brother's death, which has seriously affected him. He offers 81 a voluntary quit slip, which 81 also refuses to sign, and Sheridan tells him to leave the office. The next day during parade, First Sergeant Torres calls out several candidates, including number 81. It is revealed that they have been selected for a simulated mission. The mission takes place in a forest, where their objectives are to destroy a classified aircraft and then locate a rebel village outpost to rescue the pilot of the downed aircraft. Torres warns them that the cadre may ambush them at any time during the mission, and the squad will be equipped with the necessary gear. Number 7, who is the current group leader, is informed that 81 will be his new team leader. Torres instructs them that they must return the pilot to the base camp and cross the finish line by 1900 hours. If they are successfully ambushed at any point, they will fail the mission. As the team embarks on the mission to the forest, reports of the suspected asteroid breaking into pieces while revolving around the planet continue to go viral. Upon arrival, a helicopter drops off the candidates, and the death march operation begins. As they prepare to execute the mission, Number 7 motivates the team, emphasizing the importance of completing the mission together and crossing the finish line. That night, while the team rests, 81 volunteers to keep watch in case the cadre attempts an ambush. Later, 7 tries to initiate a personal conversation with 81, but 81 is uninterested, and suddenly, the team is startled by an unexplained blast in the sky. The following day, the team discovers a strange object by a creek, which they believe is the classified aircraft they must destroy. To carry out the mission, 81 instructs the demolition specialist to place charges. The resulting explosion is intended to draw the cadre, and the team must be prepared for a counter-ambush. Due to the previous night's blast, their communications are disrupted, and their compass begins to malfunction. Despite the dangers, the team proceeds with their plan. They approach the strange object and place dynamite on it while the rest of the team watches from a distance. Just then, 81 notices movement in the bushes and investigates, discovering a damaged airship before rushing back to the group. After detonating the object, it remains intact and unexpectedly transforms into a walking machine that begins attacking the team. They are unable to fight back, as their weapons contain only blank rounds, and while fleeing for their lives, the team reaches a cliff. The machine launches a bomb, causing a massive explosion that sends the team plunging off the edge. Many are injured during the fall. Number 51 becomes trapped on a tree branch, while Number 7 suffers a severe leg injury. Number 111 possesses a radio but is killed before it can be used, and 81 volunteers to recover the radio, returning to the previous site of the attack, where he finds many dead. He locates the radio, but it is damaged, and witnesses the machine walking and killing a soldier who is still alive. Meanwhile, the soldier trapped on the tree branch eventually dies, leaving others devastated. 81 quickly returns to the team and urges them to move immediately, fearing the machine is tracking them. They carefully lower their gear and begin descending the cliff, carrying the injured Number 7. During the descent, the machine shows up again and kills the soldier assisting with lowering 7. Standing at the edge of the cliff, the machine scans for survivors, prompting 81 to scream at the team to run. The machine launches explosives at them, but the team manages to escape. After the attack, only 81, 7, 15, 44, 109, and 23 remain alive. The team is left in shock, wondering what had been pursuing them. 81 straightens 7's broken leg, causing him to pass out from the pain, and then secures him in a carrier. Some of the survivors express frustration at RASP for sending them into a situation with a deadly machine, but 81 explains that this is not the location they were supposed to be and theorizes that the machine may be emitting a magnetic field that is interfering with their compasses. 81 suggested carrying the injured 7 to the village to meet the cadre for treatment, and the team continued their journey. On the way, they encountered a large river that blocked their path. 81 came up with a plan. After preparing his gear, he placed a compass on a tree and instructed 23 to watch it in case the killer machine approached. 81 then jumped into the water, with 44 holding the rope, and despite the strong current, he reached the opposite bank and secured the rope. Once the rope was secured at both ends, 15 began to cross with the injured 7, but they soon became stuck. 15 began to lose balance and nearly dropped 7 into the river, but 81 and 44 arrived to help. Unfortunately, the killer machine appeared and killed 23, who was holding the rope, causing the rest to fall into the river. The robot jumped into the water and nearly killed 81, who narrowly escaped. He regrouped with the others, but their struggle continued as they encountered a waterfall and all fell in. 81 was almost swept away but was pulled out by number 60, who explained that he had been blown into the river during the first attack by the robot. When asked if he had seen any sign of the cadre, 60 said no, and 81 informed him that they were heading to the village. After a long and difficult journey, the team finally reached the village, only to discover that the cadre, posing as enemy forces, had been eliminated by the machine. Observing traces of destruction stretching from a mountaintop to the valley below, 81 deduced that the machine was extraterrestrial and attempted to return to base in an APC. 60 then recalled a news report about an asteroid, which turned out to be the killer machine from another planet. The team mourned upon finding one of the dead cadre, and 81 told them they needed to move on. However, 15 became angry with 81 for showing no apparent sympathy for the fallen and for his lack of emotion. When 15 brought up what had happened to 81 in Kandahar, 81 became defensive and told 15 he was never a hero. In a flashback, after an attack, 81 had attempted to carry his mortally wounded brother back to base but passed out before reaching safety. When he awoke in the hospital, he learned that his brother had already died, but 81 had been awarded the Silver Star on the worst day of his life. 81 told the team that he knew they were hurting, but they needed to return to base and warn the others about the killer machine. Together, they managed to get a stuck ASV started, and 81 began to bond with the rest of the team. However, the killer machine approached. 60 reached the 50 caliber tanker but discovered there was no ammunition. 15 rushed to retrieve live rounds, but the machine reached him first, killing him. 81 managed to grab the ammunition and handed it to 60, who loaded the tanker and began firing. Despite their efforts, the machine's armor proved impenetrable. The situation worsened as the robot began launching explosives at them, one of which caused the ASV to crash into the woods. 44 managed to regain control of the vehicle and temporarily outrun the machine, and unbeknownst to the team, there were actually two killer machines. They are attacked again, and despite all attempts, the team failed to stop the machine. In a final effort, 81 subdued the machine with a rock slide, but the ASV was destroyed in the process. 81 woke up to find the rest of the team dead, though he discovered that 7 was still alive. While examining the destroyed machine, 81 spotted the second machine sending a signal into space. Once the signal was sent, the machine began scanning the area and moving toward them, and 81 quickly carried 7 away. Despite being weak and exhausted, 81 dragged the injured 7 into the woods. At that moment, 81 realized that the time allotted for their mission had expired, meaning they had failed. Once awake, 7 told 81 that he had known him and his brother from the moment they first met. Since the dream of becoming a ranger was shared by both him and his brother, 81 felt he had failed. However, 7 encouraged him to hold on to that dream. As the killer machine drew closer, 81 asked how they could possibly stop it. 7 asked what 81's brother would do, and in that moment, 81 came up with a plan. He placed the injured 7 near a tree, and noticing that the machine had a ventilation system, went to a nearby construction site to carry out his strategy. After setting everything in place and confirming that all equipment was functional, 81 prepared to confront the robot. Using a flare gun, he lured the killer machine into the construction site. As the machine scanned the area, 81 attacked it with explosives. He then used a bulldozer to drive the robot backward, pinning it against a wall. The machine resisted, but 81 countered, causing rock debris to fall into its ventilation system. The machine overheated and ultimately exploded, finally ending the immediate threat. The fight was not yet over, as the explosives inside the robot began to detonate. 81 quickly ran away, carrying the injured 7 on his shoulder, and narrowly escaped a massive explosion. Despite his own injuries, he successfully returned to base with 7, and paramedics immediately took 7 for treatment. Sheridan and Torres learned that only 81 and 7 had survived. 81 then discovered that the suspected asteroid was actually part of an army of machines, and that they had begun attacking worldwide. Torres revealed that a global military alliance was preparing its first counteroffensive, though the machines were extremely difficult to destroy. When asked how he had managed to defeat 181, revealed the machine's weakness. For his bravery and ingenuity, he was accepted into the regiment, fulfilling his brother's dream. 81 was then assigned to lead the next assault against the machines as preparations for war began. The story concludes with 81 giving a motivational speech to the fighters before they were dispatched to battle. Okay guys, that's all the recap about War Machine from 2026. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.